Hey guys, Matt here from iTech224 with podcast number 1. So we're going to see how this goes. I want to see what I could take this podcast to and see maybe if I even want to do a podcast. But for now, I want to try it out. It's something I've been really wanting to do. I don't have a name for it, so if this goes well and I continue to do them, I want your guys' help to actually come up with a name with this. I don't want to call it the iTech224 podcast, so that's boring. And I thought about the TechCast, but that was too good to be true, and of course it was taken already. So if you guys can come up with a name, that would be awesome. I'm going to try to keep these relatively short and maybe around the 20-minute mark. And basically the format I've been thinking of is 3 stories, 3 to 5 topics really that I want to talk about and give my opinion on, because there's a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I can't really, or they just don't really work for my normal kind of videos. But there's a lot of things that I want to voice my opinion on, and I figured some people might care, so a podcast is the perfect place to do it. And plus, I've always wanted to do a podcast. That's basically what got me into YouTube, is a lot of those things. But that's for a different story. Anyway, so let's go and get into this. The 3 things I'm going to talk about today are the Galaxy S4, my opinions on it. And I'm not going to go into too much of detail for that because it's kind of old news. But then iOS 7, my thoughts on what iOS 7 could bring and what it needs to bring. And then Google Glass, because Google Glass is awesome. So excuse if you hear any explosives because I'm not using a pop filter and the fan is on because it gets ridiculously hot in here with these lights on. But that is what's going on. So Galaxy S4. You guys all saw the presentation, the craziest presentation of any tech product ever, I think. And it was a sight to behold to watch that live. And it was fun to be on Twitter and actually talk about other people with it. And it was a fine event, whatever. Once you get past that, it's fine. But let's talk about the actual phone and what I think about it. And it really seems like a lot of people were kind of disappointed with the Galaxy S4. There's, of course, all these Samsung fanboys, fanboys, and they're going to love it anyway. That's what a fanboy is. They're going to love it no matter what. And then there was the tech people that liked it because it is a good phone. There's no doubt about that. But then the vast majority of people were really saying that it's the Galaxy S3S, which, in a way it is. That's more of an opinion thing, but it's not too much of an update. And I don't know. I don't really think that Samsung needs to do an update. People bash on Apple because they do the S updates with the TikTok format, but there's a reason they do that. It's because it works and they don't need to do anything else. And Samsung knows that. Samsung is just doing the same thing. Why wouldn't they? It's not that they're copying Apple. That's what they would do. Why wouldn't they? So I think the phone looks great. We still don't have here in the US, we still don't have the octa-core, which they're actually coming out with in international. And we don't have that here because, last time with the Qualcomm chips, those are ready for LTE. And you could just put the Qualcomm chips in there and it works just fine. You don't have to do any special programming for that. But I don't know. I feel like we should be over that. Samsung's one of the biggest chip makers out there, and they can't make a chip that works on LTE. That just doesn't make sense to me. So, I don't care because you're not going to use 8 cores on a phone no matter what. But I don't know. It just seems silly that they would do that. Let's see what else about the phone. The screen looks awesome. Now, one thing is that it's AMOLED, and I haven't seen it in person, but every single AMOLED screen that I've ever seen looks terrible. The contrast is great, and the saturation is good, but it's good in a bad way, if that makes sense. So, basically, I'm a photographer. That's like what my start is. Color representation is what matters to me when it comes to the screen. That's why I love the iPhone, because the iPhone is 100% sRGB. sRGB or RGB? I don't know. It's one of those. It's 100% color represented. So that means the colors that you're seeing on the iPhone are 100% correct. And that's a big deal to me, because when you get something like the Nexus 4, which is currently out of battery, but the colors look great, but when you look at them compared to like the iPhone, they're kind of washed out. And back to the AMOLED screens, when you're looking at an AMOLED screen, it's kind of blue or green. I think it's green, or green and yellow. I don't know. The color is just completely wrong. So I can spend 20 minutes on my favorite picture. I can spend 20 minutes editing it and getting it just perfect. And then I throw it over on the Samsung Galaxy S4 or Galaxy S3 because I know the Galaxy S3 has this issue. I throw it over on that phone and it looks completely different and it looks terrible. So that's an issue to me. And of course, I haven't seen this new screen and everyone says it looks amazing. But no one really ever talks about the color accuracy. I mean, people do, but people aren't as serious about color accuracy as I am. But hopefully that isn't an issue, even though it's an AMOLED screen. But the screen looks awesome. So it's a 5-inch 1080p screen. And I don't know, I'm excited to look at it because 1080p screens, I have yet to see one, and I really want to see one. So that is coming out April. I think that's the rumor that it would come out in April. And we don't have a word on price, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be around the same thing as the Galaxy S3 that it was when it came out. And also, one last thing before I move on to the next topic is the camera. They said it's a 13 megapixel camera, which is great, but they didn't really talk about it. They talked about some of the gimmicky features that it can do, like the face in shot, so you can do front-facing camera and rear-facing camera at the same time. That's completely dumb in my opinion. I mean, it's cool that you're able to do that, but as far as being practical, it's ridiculous in my opinion. What I commented on TLD today's video, and he kind of agreed that it would be a cool feature if instead of it being a little square in the frame like they have right now, it'd be awesome if it was say you're at your kid's football game and you're recording him running down, he's going for the touchdown, but it's also recording you using the front-facing camera. So he's running down, you're recording him, and it's getting your reaction at the same time, but it's both in full resolution. So it's not just some little square that's in your video that looks dumb, but it's actually two videos, and then later on you can go edit it, you can show him, and then you can show your reaction. I don't know. I think that would be really awesome, and I think that just seems more practical or more useful than what you get with this picture-in-picture thing. But enough about that. Let's move on to the next topic, which is iOS 7. So iOS 7 is rumored to be, well, there's not too many rumors about it right now, but it's most likely going to be coming out at WWDC as usual. And WWDC, I think that's in June, maybe May or June. I don't remember. I was in San Francisco last year for it. I didn't go, but I was there. But I don't remember when it was. But anyway, WWDC is usually when the new version of iOS comes out, or is announced rather, and people are saying that iOS 7 is going to be a huge redesign, and I was thinking about that earlier today, and you think that with Johnny Ive now in Apple he's been there forever, but Johnny Ive now being there, sorry for all these notifications, let me turn this off real quick. All right, but you'd think that Johnny Ive would be changing everything right away, and I think he's going to have a big influence on iOS 7, but I don't think it's going to be a complete upgrade from what we have in iOS 6. So iOS 6 was really quite a disappointment as far as an update goes. It was more of a dot upgrade instead of a full upgrade. So I don't know. I don't mind it. I mean, it works just fine, but I wouldn't have called that a huge dot upgrade or a upgrade. I would just call that like a .1 or .2 upgrade. But, I think they're really setting themselves up for what they're going to do in iOS 7. Not necessarily to relaunch the entire phone, but to give it more cool features. So iOS 6 was that base to give them more features in the future. I don't know what those could be. I'm kind of running out of features at this point. We have everything that we need. There's little things like tweaking and quick settings that they could put in there, but those aren't really groundbreaking features. And I don't think there really are any groundbreaking features, to be honest. Samsung's trying to do this with all their gimmicks, but those are things that no one's ever going to use. They're just selling points. But I don't know. We'll see. So that's one thing where I'm excited to see what Apple is going to unveil next, because I don't know what's possible to do next, and I know they have something in their sleeve. All these companies have something that they're working on. So hopefully iOS 7 is a refresh, but I don't think it's going to be a huge revamp and it's going to look nothing like iOS. I think there's just going to be some key features that are brand new and that make the OS work a lot better. So that's pretty much all I have to say about iOS 7. Excuse me. This is the orange version. I don't like the orange version. This is Crystal Geyser sparkling mineral water. I do not like the orange version, but that's what we have left. So that's what I'm drinking. Next, Google Glass. So Google Glass is amazing. When they announced that it was going to be, let's see, what was the timeline? Oh yeah, they released that video that showed it was like what it was like to wear Google Glass, and that was awesome. But it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't prove that it was working because obviously it was just something they overlaid onto a video. But then they said that was actually all shot on Google Glass, which made it more awesome because that showed that the video quality was great and that it actually did work and it could see what you were seeing. But then the next day, The Verge, Josh Topolsky, actually got to use it and did a whole write-up on it. And that, I think that blew everyone's minds. Just him saying that basically, yes, it is amazing, and it basically blows your mind the first time you wear it. That was awesome. So, Google Glass is one of those things that I don't think it's going to take off. Or at least I don't think it's going to take off with this first iteration. But I think it's definitely something that we're working towards. So everyone talks about the watch, the iWatch, and then all these smartwatches like the Pebble. And I think that is more of a practical, or not practical, but I think that's more of a logical step as far as what's going on with the wearable technology, because we have stuff like the Fitbit and the Nike Fuel Band and the Jawbone Up, which I'm planning on getting, by the way. And those are wearable tech that you can use to track your fitness and stuff, and that's great. So then the next step, what would the next step be? And I don't know that people are necessarily ready for glasses that augment your complete reality, even though Google Glass doesn't exactly do that. But it basically does overlay something on your vision. So when you look at the world with Google Glass now, it is completely changed because you have the world at your hands basically right here as you look out. So I don't know if people are ready for that yet, but when all these rumors of watches that are coming out that all these companies are making, that makes sense to me because you get kind of the same thing, but it's not like part of you yet. So when you're wearing Google Glass, it's kind of like it is actually part of you, if that makes sense. So it's like the step before implants. So it's the step before you actually get something implanted into yourself. But with a watch, you could take it off, or it's on your wrist. You're not always looking at it. And I think that's more comfortable for people because they're just not, I don't know, it's just not part of their life in the way that I don't think they're ready for yet. But time will tell, but who knows. And the $1,500 Explorer editions that people are going to be getting, I wish I was one of those people. I was actually watching Twit This Week in Tech, and they said, and Leo Laporte said, what if they gave everyone who goes to Google I/O? What if they gave everyone Google Glass? And that would be amazing, and that would make me extremely jealous. Even though it costs a ridiculous amount of money to go to Google I/O, it would be awesome. So you're basically paying for the Google Glass if they give it to you, but it seems like it's free because they give it to you early. But I think the $1,500 is just to show, it's just kind of like to prove your interest, and then once they actually come to market, which is going to be supposedly by the end of this year, once they come to market, I think it's going to be a lot cheaper. I think $500 is the max that anyone would pay for this Google Glass. I don't know if I'd be willing to drop $800 on a pair of glasses. I mean, I might. If I had the money, I probably would, but I don't know. $500 I can see myself saving up for and paying for them, but anything more than that, I don't think anyone except for the top nerds with money would buy. So that's yet to be seen, but Google Glass is awesome, and it's one of those, it's the next step in the evolution of wearable tech. So we'll see if it works, or it's going to work, but we'll see if it takes off, and that should be awesome. So those are the 3 stories that I picked out for today, and I don't know. That went better than I was expecting. I didn't really fumble around too much, which is nice. Let's see. What else could I talk about? I've got 5 minutes before my camera stops recording because it only has a 20-minute limit. Should we end this here? I don't know. So let me know what you guys think about this podcast, and let me know how you thought it went. Hopefully, if this does work and I do like the way it came out and I want to do more, hopefully it grows. And if it does grow, then I could start getting guests in here. We can bring in like Tyler from T Game and Tech. Hopefully, if it even gets bigger than that, we can bring in like Duncan or something like that. Oh, wait, his name's not Duncan. I don't know why I called him that. Austin from Duncan33303. That would be fun. But who knows? That's like way in the future. Yeah, so this is my podcast. We'll call it episode 0 because I don't know if it's going to be anything more than just a test. So I did call it a beta podcast, and people were asking me what that meant. And the reason I called it that is because it's a podcast, but since I don't know if it's going to work or if I'm going to keep doing it. Did I say this at the beginning? I feel like I said this at the beginning. But anyway, the reason it's a beta is because it's not, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know what it's going to be in, so it's in beta. So that is what that means. Anyway, it is getting kind of warm in here because these lights, like I said at the beginning, they're hot. And I have to go study for a test. So I'm going to end this here. And I'll see you guys hopefully in the next podcast. So leave your comments for if you like this video down below, and let me know what you guys think this should be called. Let me know if you want to see more, and come up with names, because that's a really hard thing. But if you come up with a good name, I'll definitely use it. So that's just more incentive. Imagine if I picked your name. How awesome would that be? But don't get your hopes up, because I don't know if this will continue. Anyway, let's go ahead and end this, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.